Alright, CSS battle time, and let's get to it. I will put in the description as always how this goes, see if it's even worth watching. But we have half circles. Oh man, okay, I think I have an idea, and I think radial gradient is the move, because if these two are in the HTML and then the body's just margined down, that'll work. And I think if we just have a thin border on both, it'll work to fill these gaps to create the spacing. Because a radial gradient, I'd want it all the way up to the edge, and we can't get that unless there's something bringing those edges in. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to write a normal radial gradient and then use the, well, here, let's just do it. Let's start with the HTML, and then we'll change it to include the body there. So that and selector, we get the HTML. We're going to hit background, and we are going to do a radial gradient. Ooh, not a portrait. That's something different. I'm not even sure what that would do. I've never used portrait. Have you used portrait? Always something more to learn in CSS. Radial gradient. Let's say 100 pixels. Oh no, we gotta pick the color before we can get into that. 100 pixels right there, and then we're gonna do this. Okay, so how's our circle size? It looks about right. Okay, now normally a lot of times I move things with the at property here. We can say, you know, at 0, and it puts it on the left there, but you don't get anything on the right. And what that at property is I equate it to what your image is that you're using. So if you put it all the way to the left, you get a half circle, like, well, let's say at 0, right? We have it all the way to the left. We could say at left too. There's keywords that work there. And then we have our position, and we say 100 pixels. So now we select our image with the at rules, and then we position that image with this, the background position thing, right? So, but when you do it this way, you get the image. But if we take that at rule out, we have the position with just the circle. Now let's say 0 pixels. All right, so it's doing it there, 10. Okay, so it's going to shift it over. So I could go negative, but I think I'll go 100 pixels. Let's go not 1,000, although that is 150. You see how it's starting to overlap and then loop back through? That is what I think we can use. 200, so halfway. It's about right. The circle's too big. Okay, so let's drop this down to 90. And then we move our circle, I think, to 190. Or maybe it's 210. There we go. Which isn't quite right. Let's put our border on here and get our edging right. So border 10. Whoa. Typing like crazy. I'm excited. I think this is going to work out. And we're going to do... We could just... No, we can't do transparent because we wanted to block that circle. All right, we have our border in. Now let's get our spacing right. 200, 190. There it is. Okay, so this is working. I think for the middle one, that spacing won't work. I really wanted to get like a 0. So I wonder if I can do like a 49% or something like that. Or 45%. Percent won't work on HTML because it doesn't have a parent. All right, let's Control Z that. Oh, wait. What if we do 45 EW? 50? No, that's going to be viewport width. That won't work either. I wanted percentage so that on the body, when it's shrunk down, we also get that same percentage. But that's not going to work. So this 190 pixels value isn't going to work for our body. Yeah, it's not going to work for our body. And it's going to 0, 100. And then let's change this to that. And let's see what we got. So it's looping through too many times. Let's drop this to 90. So we have our right border set. Do I do a variable or do I get real clever with font? That's the question. So if it's out 190 pixels, I think I might try it. I'm not even sure what the math is. I'm going to have to make it straight in my head. but like what's the ratio? So we're at 190 divided by 16 gives us 11.88 m, or thereabout. All right. And what I might do is actually do line height. Let's see. Let's do 5LH. Well, that's almost perfect for that one. Okay. 11 point. Let's actually just do a proof of concept before I get too fancy here. And then what we can do is actually let's just see what happens. 0.5 m. Hey. Ooh. We are actually 48, 47, 475. Let's hit submit. Let's just see if it'll take something like this. I think we're off by a tiny bit. Yeah, 99.9. But is it this? I hope it's not that line right there. I think it's our radial gradient. 6. Oh, and you know what? When I use font values in these things, I have a really hard time matching it up because of how the back end reads it. Like I used line height the other day and I could not get things to work, and then the value that looked good on my screen was like 7.2 and the value that it took was like 7.7, and that did not look right. So let's go 4.8. Let's just go big. In fact, let's see if even that makes a change, because that's more exact to what the value is. I don't know. This might not be a good idea. I might just have to do pixels and do variable, because at this point it's going to be less with all the extra characters. So let's drop that back 190. Let's do it in Q, because I think I'm going to try to 202. Okay. And then we'll just do var -- p and do this, and then we're going to take out the font, because I think if I set up the previewer, I might have a better chance of making that work. 50Q, 80, 90, 100, 2, 3. Is that too far? Okay, there we go. Still doesn't look right. It's like it's not quite wanting to even out. I really hope it does. I hope that it's not like some sort of failed symmetry between like the circles aren't quite symmetrical, and so you need one a little bit closer than the other. And I don't know, you know, like you have to actually do, let's do 90 pixels. 89. Ugh. Why is this so hard? Like the solution is pretty simple. It's just getting these numbers right. 90 didn't work. 91. Let's check it, and then we'll try 90.5, just judging by the diff. And I don't even know if that's the thing that's the problem. All right. Let's drop back to basics. 190 pixels. 90 pixels. Let's hit submit. There it is. Okay, so I was just getting too fancy. All right, 90 divides by 15. I don't think that's going to actually shorten to VH any shorter. Can I use percentage here? Nope, I cannot. So 90 pixels works. Let's see what 96Q does. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna leave it well enough alone. Yeah, 99.9. Let's leave it 90 pixels. Sometimes it just will not accept anything less than exactness. So 90 pixels here. I doubt I could change. Well, let's test that. Maybe our radial gradient isn't quite perfect with pixels, and then it gets worse with, yeah, 99.6. Wow, that's even worse. All right, I don't think I'm going to change anything. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere by changing anything. Okay, one last value to check with this method. Yay, we saved a character. Happy times. Okay, well, I like this solution. What I don't like is my inability to reduce the values for it. 121 characters for that. I think that's respectable. I was 5 characters away from making it into the top 10 on yesterday's, and it was the same solution technique. Like, it was all the same properties. It's just there's refinements with how they did the margins and things to do. I did negative values in my box shadow, and I think that was kind of one of the big clinchers there. But still, it's nice to get close. 121. Hopefully I'm pretty close on today's too. All right, well, I hope you're having fun with this, and I will catch you later.